Well, hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be doing a painting of some ducks on a pond that's thawing out. I wasn't going to do any winter scenes, but this one feels a little bit spring appropriate. I actually saw these ducks this very morning, so I thought that was a cool scene, and so I snapped a few photos, and I think I'm going to try painting one of them. So it should be fun. I think that it will be. Should be a good water painting. There's a lot of beautiful light and ripples and different colors in the water, and the ducks are obviously pretty cool. So yeah, I'm just gonna get into it. I'm gonna try and use mostly earth tones and blues and white today. I'm not gonna go for like a true limited palette particularly, but I think that will serve this one pretty well. So yeah. I'm actually going to start out with a brush. I'm going to leave the canvas a bit dry for the beginning of this and just start sort of building up some different colors. I'll do a little bit of brush and a little bit of knife, and then I'll probably end up blending some things out, but I don't actually want to start with a wet canvas because I'm thinking that I'm going to want to do a fair amount of layering just to create all of the glare and the reflections, and yeah, just give myself a little bit of room. I think I'm gonna start out dark. Yeah, we'll do that. So I've got, yeah, for my blues I'll have phthalo blue, cypress blue, and ultramarine, and then for my earth tones I'm gonna use burnt sienna, yellow ochre, and raw umber. That'll probably, and then I'll have titanium white as well. Those will probably should cover just about everything. Yeah, even there's one duck that has a green head. And I should be able to make a green for that. And yeah, so I think that won't even feel very constrained. Put a little bit more ultramarine. And get a little bit more burnt umber as well. Yeah, I'm just gonna mix up a little bit of burnt umber with a little bit of ultramarine to start. It should be a nice dark color. Just to start kind of sketching in some shapes. Okay. So I take just a little bit of my lavender spike. Just thin this out a little bit. That'll allow it to go on a little bit more delicately. A little bit more blue. I found this to be a nice combination for doing a little bit of early drawing and a painting. So maybe I'll even try out a new brush. This is not necessary for this, but I got this little Dagger brush. I've been wanting to use it. And I think I want to just start working in my ducks here. Unlike some paintings where I do a lot of other things first, I kind of just want to set these guys in their places. And this actually works great for making ducks, I think. Let's see. I don't quite know how to handle it yet, but it's a good brush that you can put a lot of paint on and get some different shapes. will probably end up going over basically all of the sky, but it's fairly well silhouetted. And has its little reflection here. Another little dark area. And over here, I've got another duck that's a little closer. And he's got a little bit more light on him, so I'm not going to worry about filling him in all the way. But how's my placement feeling? This one's head's a little funny. And I've got some different water waves. Something that attracted me to this painting, or this whole scene originally, was just the sort of waves here. They're making a lot of them. These little ripples. But let's see sort of how much I can do with this without becoming too obsessive. I'll just see if I can keep it kind of loose, make a nice I like this brush. It's kind of a cool brush. It's good for making long shapes like this. You can load a lot of paint on it and move it around. Go and see where we end up. Actually can't see the water line, but you can see all these reflected trees, which is kind of neat. And then the back area here, like these ducks are kind of right up at the edge where the ice sort of ends. They were actually climbing up on some of the ice and then breaking this edge a little bit, which was kind of cool. Yeah, let's see. There's like a little branch in the water over here. This may complement the knife painting quite a bit, since I can get these kind of sharp-edged shapes. Some of these like longer shapes that can be kind of hard to load a knife to get actually work pretty well with it. pretty well set up, I think. It's not too much here to do. I think I'll probably continue to refine some of these shapes as I go. But yeah, so I'm gonna get I'm gonna go a little bit lighter. I don't really want to add white yet, though. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of burnt sienna. This is dried out more than I would have expected. Alright, just grab that. Swap hands, I guess. If I could mix with the knife in the left and paint with my brush on my right, that could work too. It's a little bit of this. Grab a little yellow ochre and do the same thing too, just to kind of have it ready. This is interesting. This is a little bit backwards from how a lot of times I'll work from my, do kind of usually cools to warms, and then I'll go dark to light, but my darkest colors in this are all a bit warm, so I'm doing this specifically so that before I start adding any white, I can kind of lay these in pretty strong. Painting's gonna lighten up and soften up a lot as I go once I start adding in the whites. But I'll just keep kind of cruising around here. Again, I like this brush. I've never used this brush before, but it's like kind of perfect. I had a little like angle brush that I used to use a lot when I did acrylics, but I haven't been as into that lately. So over here I've got a lot more of the blues. I've got a little bit more of this warm dark brown over here, I guess. And then on the whole, it's going to go from kind of a darker blue to a lighter blue, generally up here. Let's see. Start making some blues. Let's see. A little bit of ultramarine. Start putting that in down here. This is going to be overall kind of darker than this will end up being, but I'm going to plan to add, maybe adding the light in. So rather than starting with a light layer and then having my colors kind of automatically lighten, I'm starting with a starting with a dark layer, and then I'm going to be a little bit more decisive as to where I add in whites. Sometimes it's nice to just have a little bit more control, even though this isn't a highly controlled sort of style I'm working with. Okay, I'll get a little bit of phthalo. Kind of do the same thing here. Keep adding in a little bit of more different stripes of colors. I'm trying to kind of keep these shapes sort of similar to the ripples that I see too. And then maybe even a little Savers blue mixed into the phthalo. So now this will actually be introducing a little bit of white, since there is white in the Savers. But it's okay. I'm just gonna try it. I'm trying not to mix a lot of colors on my brush. I'm kind of trying to keep that keep it pretty clean for right now. I might blend some things later, but right now, just trying to get some nice colors down. Picked up a little brown, but it'll be okay over here. Okay. Here I want to start bringing in, I think, a little bit of yellow ochre and white. Grab some of that. It's a little bit, turned a little green, but that's okay. Sort of start working in between these sort of tree branch shapes. Okay, it's coming along. The other thing is normally I'm like really careful about not leaving any squares of white, but I'm trying to actually resist that, because what those little squares of white are going to let me do is put in more colors as I go. So I'm actually intentionally leaving that room for some more color. Let's take a little bit more phthalo and actually just phthalo and titanium. I'm mixing this a little darker than the Savers blue right now. I'm gonna start doing some of these little spots here. as I go up, I'm going to be getting into lighter tones. I think it's one of these things that will come together as I do it, hopefully. It's actually kind of, seems like it's kind of actually moving kind of fast. Oh, I lost that stick though. I'll bring it back later. Maybe I'll just put a little bit of white. A little white into some burnt sienna. And just kind of give it a little location that way. Actually, thinking about putting in some of these little ripples anyway. A little bit more yellow ochre out. Let's see. Some of that will be helpful over here. These particular sort of highlights are white, as they actually are a bit golden, so we'll let them be that way. Okay. I think I'm gonna do a little bit of yellow ochre actually. I have to just wash my brush out first. I am not mixing the blue into the yellow. There's actually like almost no green in this painting, so it will be good exercise and control to not end up with lots of green. That's the other reason I didn't want to start with liquid, is I thought it would blend all of this a little too much, maybe. I think it's good to be able to switch techniques or sort of pick the right one for the right scenario. Take a little less yellow ochre. Just pop that over here next to the burnt sienna. Mix a little bit of that in too. And up here where this is still frozen, it's got a different texture to it. So I'm trying to do this kind of thing where brushing is on kind of dry, but if I do it with a few different colors kind of on top of each other, it will start to create a blended sort of look. I'm gonna go, let's see, keep working over here actually. be able to. Got some very light, sort of gray blue, kind of mix. Let's see, how do I want to do this? I know I'm popping back between like my sort of two different color families quite a bit. Fortunately, they're drying somewhat quick, so I'm not currently making mud, though it is always a risk. Bring a little bit of ultramarine in here. This duck has a very dark, warm blue shadow. Working that in. Also, is a reflection. Grab a little bit more white. Let's mix a little bit of this umber into it. Keep this fairly light though. Mix a little bit of linseed oil too. Whoops. A little bit of skin on that linseed oil. Alright, I'll grab that. It's pretty nice. Actually I'll put this in with a knife. That the thickness here will be helpful. Like that, okay. And this other duck has a little line. Just put that in. These tail feathers here. I like that. Yeah, that worked out pretty well. Pretty simple too. A little bit of highlight on the back of that one's head. And this other one's got some green. Still, I'm really bouncing around a lot on this one. But that's okay. Same yellow ochre and some phthalo blue. I can make a decent green. It's not too bad. That's kind of close, actually. Let's pop this. That's about right. Nice. I might even come back into that a little bit after it's set up a little bit more. But that's actually it's a pretty nice start. I think that's the only place I need that green. Alright, so we carry on. Okay, so more, get some white, or some blue, but I don't want it to be quite as strong as some of these others. So I'll try this sort of mud mix on top of the phthalo. Now that I've got the knife in my hand, I kind of do. I'll just put some more colors in with that knife. I'm still keeping the brush in my hand too, though. Good to have options. just gonna take my brush over some of this now. I've got a little brown in there. That's okay. Just gonna keep accentuating this movement here. I'll probably layer in even more white soon. Keep going. Just a little bit of linseed oil in with this white here. I switch to linseed oil where I'm going over. And the reason that I switched to linseed oil as opposed to continuing to add the lavender solvent in these areas where I'm going over is I want it to go on nice and smooth and soft, but I don't really want to sort of dissolve the paint that's drying already. A little drip there. This is kind of this icy area here. It's cool all the things you can do. I'm kind of just continuing to work this sort of white blue mixture over all of this. And this is the area where it's more frozen and icy still, so it's not quite as much definition as where the water has its little ripples and stuff. I'm hoping I can get that to come across. It's actually even kind of subtle in the picture, but I think it seems like it might work. So just keep cruising along here. A little bit more white. And there's a question. I'm going to try some of this unbleached titanium actually, because I don't really want a true white yet. And I think this will actually work pretty well. So a little bit more of that in here. It actually kind of automatically dulls the blue a little bit in a way that fits what I'm doing. Just makes it a little bit more of a gray. Almost like these little pools where the ice is actually melted, or it has some like water standing on it. Just creates these little sparkles. They're kind of neat. Yeah, I'm trying to actually think about filling in this canvas a little bit up here now. I guess, let's see, a little bit more blue, a little bit more white. I really like this brush. I'm glad I got it. Thinking it's kind of handy. It's a good way to get to know a painting, is to commit to doing a whole painting in it. I didn't even really plan that I was necessarily going to do that, though. I like that. Okay. Like, let me add some regular titanium to the palette as well. Thinking this area here, I want to really bring a lot of light in, and I'm going to use, I think, probably the Sevres blue and the titanium white mixed together there. Just going for kind of like a maximum strong sky blue kind of color. Gotta make a little space for it. Let's see, maybe it can go. We'll move this pile over. Bit of that. Bit of that. Let's see. Go even whiter. I'm gonna use a lot of this too. So I'm actually gonna start by just putting this on with a knife too, I think. Really let it go on pretty thick. I may not even. Even whiter than that. So I just took what was on my knife, added some more white to that, and just go in here, keep adding a little bit more, a little bit more. Fix that up with the brush a little bit soon. blend this a little bit. This area is it's a little softer. It's not quite as ripply. As you get a little further from the ducks, the ripples kind of settle out. There's a little bit more kind of with these tree reflections, but right in here, it's a little quieter. I think it's okay to have a little spot for your eye to rest. Kind of putting two colors on my brush here too, as I'm seeing. It's kind of like light and raw umber, kind of mixed color. You can kind of control the shapes that way. I like that I didn't leave the ducks for later. Now I haven't given them all that much attention. They're kind of the easy part of this painting. It's nice having them in though. I think these will be good to put in again after it sets up a little bit too. But I think having them have some layers, there's actually like tons of these tree shapes. Not having it totally disappear in the meantime is also good. These areas, like actually right around the ducts, are almost, they're kind of tricky. They're important though. I think that's kind of what's gonna help them stay kind of a focal point amidst this crazy water chaos. All right. More white. As I get a little bit lower, I'm kind of changing the angle of the brush a little bit just to make a wider stroke too. Also kind of moving around, going up, going down here, just to let these ripples kind of, as I pick up one color, I can kind of get these edges to vary a little bit in the right way. So kind of about the right amount of randomness. I'll fix that in a little bit. I'm not going to get too into it right now because I actually want to I don't want to make it messier. It'd actually be better to leave it for now. Circle back. I think that's actually something that experience helps you realize. I think sometimes you really see something that you didn't intend and you want to fix it immediately. And sometimes it's about not reacting to it for a little bit. Went over that stick again. That's okay. It'll come back. It'll find its way. Okay. It's looking kind of good. I'm getting into the area that I want to be the most careful about. This outer area, I'm kind of fine with it being a little more loose, I guess. Just kind of feel like I can paint really fast with it too. Again, because it has that sort of knife shape to it, it's like it's giving me a little. It's like a big brush and a little brush at the same time. It's kind of what I like about the filbert brush too, because it's thin in one direction and then wide another direction. This is even better because it's got a point like that. Okay. Back up a little bit. Yeah. I'm really liking it. Thinking I'm actually gonna leave it pretty soon. I want to come in and obviously put some paint here in these areas that are light, but I really actually don't want to pick up a lot of the color that's here. Maybe I'll just put it in with a knife first. I don't want to drag a lot of color into it. I want that to stay pretty bright. I tend to like to feel like I've covered the whole painting before I move on to the next thing. So I'll just do some straight up white. I'll put it right there. A little bit of linseed oil. And I accidentally mixed some brown into it. Let's see. I was getting a little feisty. All right, let's make some room. Really, it's just a preview to the cleanup time. It's happening really soon. Alright. Lots of mud. This isn't really a mud painting though. I'm not gonna save that. There we go. Just get some titanium right out of the tube. A little bit of linseed oil. And just go ahead and put this in. Just lifting up all these areas just a little bit. Probably brush this out a little bit more, but just kind of bringing that light through. But it's almost like the opposite of how I would have done if I had had the liquid layer to begin with. It would have sort of done this from the beginning, but I wouldn't have gotten the same sort of complexity with the darks. Sometimes I go in and I'll just make the darks darker in the end. I'm kind of thinking this is a painting where I go in and make the lights lighter at the end. And I'm able to sort of put this white on top with the knife a little bit better than if I went to brush it. I'd be tending to mix in a little bit. But with the knife, I'm able to put it on kind of in a nice thicker glob that stands out, while also mixing in a little bit at the same time. Kind of doing a little bit of a mix here. Softening these just a little. Probably come back in and do another bit on this. But for now, I'm just kind of working this so it's not doesn't stay too thick. I want it a little bit thick. Some of these sort of knife textured edges where the color breaks up a little bit. A lot of times I like that. It's not quite what I'm going for here. At least not in a way that's you got a little bit. And push it and pull in color here and there. Here. Blending that in a little bit there too. Got some of these little checker blocks showing along the edge of the ducks. I don't want that. I can always sharpen them up a little bit later, but I'd rather have them pretty well filled in. There's something about going, even if I don't get to paint outside, like being able to see something and come back with a fresh image, like in my mind, even if I have the camera to back me up. It just makes it a little bit more fun. I feel like that's part of what helped me kind of fly through this so far. grabbing a little bit of yellow ochre, just flicking it through the white here. And letting that kind of lift into this. And up here, just want to blend those out a little bit more too. Smudge that book again. I guess that's the trouble with putting them in early, is you can't smudge them a lot. But I think it's starting to have a nice feel to it. I feel like I'm getting that feeling of this being ice behind them. Kind of it's almost a light blue sort of glare here on this edge. It might be the only hint I can really work in, sort of showing. That actually looks better than it did before. So it was worth it. Worth it for the smudge. Alright. Alright, I think it might be about time to give it a little rest. I plan to come back and just add a little bit more sharpness here and there. Fix this branch again for the 40th time. It's not that important anyway. Just kind of liked it as one more element to the composition, though. Just, yeah, I'll worry about it later. Cool. All right. Well, I'll be back in a few. I'm back. Pretty good, I think. Just go like that. It's gonna take a minute to look at it, think about it a little bit. I think I really want to let the brush strokes kind of do a lot of the work here. I'm gonna stick to that. I'm gonna keep kind of darkening some of these darks. A lot A lot of the umbers that I put down yesterday are a little bit, they're not as shiny when they're dry, so they're looking a little bit matte, a little bit more brown than they go on. They go on a little bit darker looking, I guess. So I'm gonna kind of get into those a little bit more. I'm trying to decide. I want to mix in a little bit more color, maybe. I'm thinking about breaking into a little bit of cadmium for some highlights here and there. I may not, though. Yeah, I think I'm going to go in with a little bit of ultramarine first and just see. I want to bring out some of these darks a little bit more, and I feel like there's a brown layer that could use a little bit of blue added to it, and I think that would make it a little shinier and a little bit darker, because those are kind of complements. So let's start there and see. I've decided, I think I'm going to keep this, I'm going to try and keep it mostly brushed texture though I will probably switch to a couple more brushes and not just use the one Dagger brush that I used yesterday, though I think that's going to get a little bit of attention too. So let's see. Yeah, let's start with just ultramarine and a little bit of medium, just to make it a little thinner and easier to work with. And take my little bit here. Grab a little bit of this for the ducks because they're a little bit more round in shape. I want to be able to kind of get in here and just bring these colors down a little bit. So yeah, the blue over the brown works really well for this. Good. I want to give these guys a little bit more attention today. And just start giving them a little bit more form. Take a little bit of burnt sienna. Actually, I'm gonna refresh that pile. It's pretty messy. One thing to know is that earth tones, so all of these are, they're basically dirt and oil. And the earth tones generally will dry faster than some of the other colors that are produced in other ways, but it's just something about them. But you can kind of use it to your advantage once you know to expect it. Same kind of thing over on this one too. Just going over the areas that really need to be the darkest, not trying to overdo it. this area here. When I go over the white, I do want to go add the brown back in if I need to add a shadow here. Otherwise, it would just be a bright blue. I've got a little bit of a sort of a blue-gray shadow on this wing. I haven't painted it yet. Go ahead and put that in. This is what's really going to give them a little bit of dimension. Okay, got a little sort of dark tail area. Okay, and a little bit here. And then this shadow has got ultramarine color perfectly in there. I always like to, when I look around a painting as I'm kind of planning it, I'll look and see where are the areas that I see kind of like a straight out of the tube color, if there are any. Sometimes there aren't, but you don't want to force it if they're not, but if they are, they're like always fun little opportunities for a little extra pop. Actually, a little rock over here. I didn't even put in earlier. Too bright. I'm trying to stay out of the whites for a little bit. I wanna kind of bring back some of the sort of drawn quality that I had yesterday. I think all these little, with reflections, you kind of, the best way to do them is in a kind of a couple shots. They don't often come through in just one pass. I'm trying to go more ultramarine with this blue. I realized it was it got a little bit greeny blue yesterday, and I'm gonna try and kind of back that down a little bit. At least where it makes sense. I think there's a little bit more of the blue-green happening over in this area, but over here it's more of a warm blue. So just keep working with that. Take a little bit more yellow ochre ultramarine. See if I can make a little bit more green for this. Let me take a little of this cypress blue. Keep building up a little bit of this unbleached titanium even. Build up a little bit more light there. Back of his head. I really didn't want to get into phthalo. I may have to go back there for that, just that area. But that's okay. A little bit of unbleached titanium. A little bit of medium with it. Trying to use kind of shorter strokes with this. I realize that some of these longer ones are not. They're okay, but they're not really quite right for this. Just make up. I'm just gonna stay out of the blues for a little bit, but this area does feel a little just too. It's actually too light. A little bit of this white is good, but I think I was kind of overcompensating because I was feeling like the darks were getting lost, and I don't think it was the right call. So that's the nice thing about painting, is you can fix things. I'm just kind of going over, getting in these kind of like light squiggles where I see them. Really focused on the surface of the water now. A lot of the stuff I laid in yesterday, these darks, are really the sort of undertones. Sort of the water that you see through onto the bottom of this pond. I tried to think about, I mean, I did these reflections are also obviously part of the top surface as well, but I try to think about them that way. Get some more of a light ultramarine blue in here now. Filbert's nice because it's not quite as sharp. So I think sometimes again, I always think about lights as being round shapes. And I know that it might be like, it's definitely an oversimplification, but often feel like you can have sort of sharper dark shadows, and then you want like rounder light shapes. At least that's what I want. If you want something else, you can paint yours that way. So go in here a little bit more. I'm trying to have all of this not transition kind of all at once. So like I've got this warmer blue and it goes to like slightly greener up here maybe. But I don't want it all changing in the same spot all at once either. A couple of dark areas in here. I think having like a good number of like different blues in here is nice. I think it's better than having like all the same. And you really sometimes with a photo like this, because this is not I don't know, it's not a great photo, and I didn't do any editing to it other than cropping it a little bit. So I'm kind of just working right from, I don't know, what my phone saw, which isn't necessarily the same as what I saw, but it's pretty close, maybe. Like this sort of drier brush look that I'm able to get now. Yesterday I was starting to get a little too blended looking, and it wasn't really the look I was going for. I was really thinking more about like, I don't know, some of Monet's pieces, and he used to really like dry brush a lot of times. And there's you can see a lot of the sort of texture of the canvas and the brush strokes, and a lot of those pieces are really, really big too, so you can get, if you back up, you still get a lot of detail out of them, whereas this is not a very big painting, so I can't quite do the same thing, but I can hint at it. Can do a little of this and that. Starts to bring it together. Got a little bit of some of these light or blue-green strips just coming through this area here. For whatever reason. Get that it's starting to get more of that sort of layered impressionist look that I was kind of going for. It really takes, probably like you can keep going on something like this for a long time too, and really build it out a lot more even. So take a little bit of yellow ochre and titanium, even work that into some of these ripples over here. Just trying to place them in about where I see them. Not worried about making them exact though either. liking this area a lot more now with the ultramarine in it. I think in here there's still something I want to do. I'm thinking I almost need another color. Maybe it's like a Sevres but with a little ultramarine in it. And a bit more white. Maybe it's even lighter. I need like another tone. I'm staying away from the phthalo because I think it's just going to take over everything and cause me trouble, so I can stay on the sidelines for this part. A little bit of medium. Let's try. I see a little bit here. Go. Maybe even a slightly darker one. Yeah, the ultramarine's a lot more manageable. It definitely lets me have a little more control over the value, because the phthalo is just really hard to mix to a very consistent value. I don't know. It's just unwieldy. A little bit of a dark blue shadow behind it, but not quite as strong as the other one. Yeah, here we go. That's feeling a little better. You'll have to tell me. I'm sure I expect to hear. Some people will miss the last knife in this one, but let me know what you think. I haven't done a lot of brush painting lately, but I don't really mind the idea of trying some more, so if enough people seem to like it, I may incorporate it into the rotation again. I do think for some subjects like animals and any of these sort of softer shapes, it's a little bit easier to work with. Yeah, I like how this is breaking up over this dark area here now, though. It's just kind of shows the light kind of scattering across the surface. Really, in a lot of ways, it's a simple painting. It just takes kind of sticking with it for a while, having it go through a lot of awkward phases. But I'm really not using all that many different colors. same kind of same kind of thing here. I'm just scattering. It's like sort of an alternative to like blending this stuff in. Just going on with a dry brush and letting it catch the canvas. This is definitely something that was more of a canvas painting technique as well. Not so much. I could probably do something similar on a board, but it would look a lot different. So if you want to do this, do it on a canvas. Alright, so let's see. A little lighter there, maybe. Maybe this more Savras color kind of starts to work in here. I'm gonna keep it soft on this sort of ice area here. I'm trying to figure out exactly. I can't. In this picture, it's really hard to see where the water is kind of ending. Actually, I think it might be a little bit further up than what I had been thinking. So I'm starting to put a little bit more contrast, a little higher up here. And just kind of go back and forth, paint what you see. It's coming along. Okay. Again, there's kind of these little pools of water sitting on this ice. So I think the edge is actually underwater, so that's why there's not really a line. I don't know. There might not be any good way to really show this. So maybe it's okay if it just looks pretty and decorative, right? Same thing here. And this, because I painted it with a brush yesterday, everything was pretty dry going into this, so I'm not really worried about mixing anything in from yesterday, which is nice. It's kind of does make it a little quicker in that respect too. Step back from it for a minute, I think. There we go. Okay, so I think I'm tempted to try and make this one duck a little bit bigger because he looks kind of smaller than he is right now, and it's bothering me. So he's got this wing that tips down like this. Just boost him up a little bit. And then bring this tail out a little bit more. And just put in sort of, that's a little bit too blue. I should be careful about that. I actually moved my brush cleaner. Oops. Moved it over to the corner because I was hoping it would encourage me to clean it a little bit more often. I do realize that with the knife I'm able to just wipe it off real quick. The brushes I either have to strategically kind of move from a color to another color, or I need to wash it. a lot of artists will actually have, they'll kind of have the same brush and two of the same brush, and they'll use a dark one and a light one, and then they'll just swap between them so they don't really have to wash them at all. And that actually, it does work pretty well, but I kind of have to develop the muscle memory if I'm going to do that, to sort of switching back and forth. Not sure that's really something I care too much about right now. I'm sure I would if I painted with a brush more. Alright. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit of burnt umber, a little bit of ultramarine, a little bit of medium, a little bit more ultramarine. Just trying to make a nice dark here. I'm going to get this duck stripe on his back that he had before that I went over when I tried to move him. And I'm going to wipe off again. Still going to mix in this kind of, using a little of this unbleached titanium and a little bit of bleached titanium, I guess it is. Just go over this top of this area here. That's pretty good. And then I'm still feeling like I want this green to be a little bit more vibrant than it is. I've got some good greens in here that I've made, so I must be capable of it. I'm thinking I do have to go back into the phthalo just for that, so I will wash my brush, I promise. I'm going to do phthalo and yellow ochre. Just actually grabbed the yellow ochre and moved over to the side first to see before I went into this phthalo pile. Yeah, that works pretty well though. That's a decent bright green. Put one more tone in there. I'm going to go a little bit lighter. Yeah, it's nice sort of blue-green this way. And maybe just a little Saffron's blue, a little more yellow ochre. A little white. Just trying to sort of boost it up a bit lighter so I can get a decent sort of highlight violet color for it. I'll try that. That's pretty good. Maybe just a little bit of actual white. Kind of dragged it through. Just kind of mixed naturally instead of mixing it ahead of time. Just put a little bit. It's almost in shadow, so it's kind of hard to tell exactly what's going on here. That looks pretty nice. Okay. I'm trying to get these sort of shadow shapes or the reflection shapes to work for them as well. Pretty close. I love painting water though. Alright, I think this one's looking pretty good. I'm gonna do little bit more with these tiny little reflections right close to him. And not reflections, little ripples, I guess. And then over here, I want to do kind of a similar thing. I want to just a little bit, still a little more white than is necessary. I didn't have the variety when I was working on this part yesterday, and I thought that I could solve it by making it brighter, but really I just needed more colors, not lighter colors. So just go through and adjust it again. It's always a certain amount that you have to just kind of make stuff up because, you know, you only have so many colors you can make. And it's painting on a surface, it's not projecting light out of the sun or whatever. Okay. Putting in a couple of these little dark ripple shapes that I'm seeing in here. I'm not going to forget to fix that stick. Bit of yellow ochre and bleached titanium here, just to grab a couple of these little, I don't know if they're like, it might be floating sticks or leaves or little reflections. It's hard to tell really what they are, but I'm just gonna stick them in. The water's pretty shallow here, so there's a lot of little mucky things, leaves and grasses and things like that, kind of woven in just under the surface. One area I'm tempted to mess with a little bit more is these trees in here. I'm going to put just a tiny bit more light in them. I just grabbed a little bit of the yellow ochre on bleached titanium mix, and I'm just going to kind of work that in down here. Some of these tree shapes. Because these are reflected, that's actually okay if they kind of pick up some of these upper reflection colors too. A bit more medium. A little bit more of whatever this was. It was burnt sienna, ultramarine, yellow ochre, and bleached titanium. A little more of that. A little lighter. There we go. It's kind of a nice warm color, actually. It's pretty nice, I think. So all really comes down to like horizontal and vertical brush strokes. A lot of that's because it's ripples, it's really a lot more horizontal or across the water strokes, I guess. Let's see. This area here just needs a little bit of depth to it. I like this area, the browns and the blues overlapping each other. It's pretty compelling. I feel like that's working out pretty well. Here it's a little bit boring, but I think it's okay. Again, it's good for your eye to have somewhere to rest. A bit. Feeling pretty good though. Think about just grabbing a couple of little highlights here and there. And working those in. Need those little grasses. They were kind of extra. Thought about it. They could go away. Alright. Feels pretty good. maybe just keep continuing to want to work a little bit of these darks in here. Just feel like this, yeah, that kind of works. Actually, a little bit of this all the way up here even. Here, I'm kind of just same idea here. Just a little bit more. Like this transition here, we start to see the like glassy reflections versus this like soft reflection. It's just, there's really something interesting about it. Hoping I can get it to come through. Might be pretty good. I'm gonna step back one more time. Maybe we'll call it a day. Alright, I think it's pretty good. I'm gonna do one little white highlight right here on this wing because I feel like it needs it. And that might be that. Right there on the tail. And right there on the end of the wing. Alright. That's pretty good. I think I like painting ducks. I'd have to do that some more. Maybe some up close ones too. These ones were still, I wanted to do them bigger. I was like trying to zoom in and stuff, but they're pretty far out, so yeah. Cool. Alright, well, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night, or whatever you have to next.